coordinator here at Contact. Been here for a few weeks, and it's been really, really great to get to know all of you. So a key part, of my role is to make sure that you guys kind of have the tools, the guidance, everything that you possibly could need by means of support in order to succeed here at Contact. So we've decided to put together today's workshop just so you guys can get a better understanding of kind of how clients actually book models. The reason being is that, we get a lot of kind of feedback from you guys that, you're disappointed when you're shortlisted for things and they don't always go through. So we're hoping that, with this workshop, you'll be able to kind of have a better understanding as to how everything works in terms of kind of bookings and casting and things like that, so that you can better understand and know kind of going forward. We also wanted to use this opportunity to also kind of talk you through kind of a few things that you could be doing kind of while you're waiting to actually secure that next booking. So really do pay attention. And of course, if you have any questions at all, please feel more than free to drop them into the chat box so you don't forget them. And I will do my best to address all of them kind of at the end. So I'm going to get started now. Like I said, any questions at all, just drop them in the chat box. So the first thing we're going to look at is actually kind of understanding what we mean by release. Now, this is a term that some of you might be familiar with, but maybe not all of you are familiar with. So essentially, when you are released from a job, and you'll see this kind of on your profile, it essentially means that you're no longer kind of an option for the job. And this can be super disappointing, especially when, the job looks really cool and it looks really exciting and it probably is something that you want to get involved with. But unfortunately, it does mean that the booker has decided to either go in a different direction with a different creative, or they've decided that you're just not the right fit for the project. So yeah, it's super disappointing, but it is just part of the reality of being in this industry. So to help you guys better understand, how we get to this point of being released, what we've kind of done is put together kind of a visual aid, so you guys can better understand exactly, the full process, like we said, of the whole casting process, so that you can better understand and know kind of moving forward. So let's begin. So the very, very, very first step that happens is obviously the brand decides on their brief, right? So they're going to come up with their concept, whether it be the marketing campaign, whether it be the e-commerce shoot, whatever it might be, they're going to come up with their campaign concept. They're going to decide, okay, which models or which look that they're kind of going for in order to kind of achieve this aim. So they could be after models, they could be after hair and makeup artists, or they could be after photographers, right? So the brand decides on their brief. Now nowadays what we see is that brands will pass on the brief to a casting director, right? Because brands do not want to have the hands-on task of having to reach out to talent and having to go through everything themselves. So brands usually kind of outsource this whole kind of process to a casting director. And so the casting director essentially receives that brief, and then what they do is send it on to kind of multiple agencies, right? So Contact is an example of one of these multiple agencies that a casting director will kind of reach out to and be like, okay, this is the brief I've been given. Do you have anyone who fits this brief, right? So I've given a nice little example of kind of really simplistic example of like the brief that would come in. So they could be like, oh, okay, we want a male who's over 21, who lives in London, who's got ginger hair, who is of a certain height and a certain shoe size, right? So they'll give us all of those information, and then that's the brief that we've got to work with. Now obviously we received the brief here at Contact, but also so many other agencies and around the UK and maybe even internationally also will receive the same brief. So then here comes the next step. So then every single agency will go through their catalog of creatives, of talent, model talent, for example, and be like, okay, this is, everyone we have that kind of fits that brief. So every single agency will put forward their talent, essentially. So as you can imagine, that's a lot of people. And this is why we say that the industry is very, very highly competitive, because we're literally, competing against all these other agencies with all their different talent as well. And sometimes the briefs can be, a bit vague. The brief I just showed you, as an example, is kind of a generic one, right? We can get, more specific ones, but, generally speaking, we do get kind of vague ones. And so we just kind of put and submit whoever fits that brief as well as possible. And that's the exact same approach that the other agencies take as well. And so, as you can imagine, it's a lot of people, a lot of talent, a lot of models. And so it is a lot of people to consider for the brief, right? So then the next stage that happens after this is that, like I said, all the agencies will submit their creatives, then we all submit them back to the casting director. And when I say the casting director receives hundreds of submissions and shortlists, and things like that, then I'm really being serious about that. They literally receive hundreds, if not thousands, of submissions back from all the different agencies. So you can imagine that, if we put forward 20 people, for example, and then another agency puts forward 20, by the time it all goes around, it's going to be a lot of people to have to consider. And then the casting director literally has to go through every single one of those submissions and essentially shortlist. So when, on your profile, when you see that, you've been shortlisted for, a particular job or particular booking, that means that you have beaten out a lot of the competition in order to be able to get onto that shortlist, because they do get a lot of submissions that come through. So yeah, the casting director has that task to kind of go through everything and make sure that they kind of select the people who they think will be most appropriate for the booking. And then the next thing, obviously, in terms of your side, in terms of contact, is that you would then receive that notification of being shortlisted. So you'll get that email through to let you know that, you've been shortlisted for that particular booking. The next thing then is that you either accept or you decline, right? So, depending on availability, depending on kind of, whether you think it's a good fit for you or whatever the case may be, you then have the choice to decide whether, you want to go for it, you want to put yourself forward and be like, yes, I want to commit to this, or you'd rather not. Based off whichever one you decide, the booker would then review their shortlist, right? So, obviously they can shortlist someone, but the person might not be available, or the person might not want to do the booking, or whatever the case may be. So then based off the response that they get back from the talent or from the creative, they will then review their shortlist and then make sure that they've got everyone and everything that they need. And so then this is then the crucial part. So after the bookers now reviewed their shortlist, they will either confirm you or you will be released. Now, if you're confirmed, that means, everything's all set and you can go ahead and kind of complete the job and everything like that, provided that there's no other issues, nothing else comes up. Or, the alternative side of that is that you are released. And, the next step for you then in that moment would be to wait for your next opportunity. So that is how the casting process works. And as you can see, from A to Z, that can take a lot of time. I know that some of you might be like, why haven't I heard back yet? Or, what's going on? Is there any kind of update on this? There's a lot of different things and lots of different kind of layers to the whole casting process. And so it can take a bit of time, especially with the casting directors having to shortlist, so many applications. So yeah, it can take a bit of time. But I wanted to kind of share this with you guys, just so you can better understand how the process works. So that, you're not too discouraged when, maybe you are released from a particular role, because that in itself, the fact that you got to that point means that, you got really, really far in it, and you beat out a lot of the competition for that booking. So don't be discouraged if you are released. It just means that now you're more available for the new exciting bookings that are coming through on our platform all the time. So do not be discouraged. So let's move on. Yeah, so like I said, don't be discouraged. New jobs are being added to our platform all the time. So your new job could be literally just round the corner. And yeah, we attract some of the best kind of jobs, I would say. Maybe I'm a bit biased. But yeah, definitely there's plenty out there for you guys. So do not be discouraged. So what should you do while you wait? It's a really, really important question, and it's something that I get asked all the time. You know, BB, what more can I be doing? What can I be doing to, you know, get myself more out there? What could I be doing to attract more bookings? So I put together kind of my 3 top tips, if you like, things that you could be getting on with whilst you're waiting for that next booking. So number 1, profile updates. This is so important, but I do feel it's something that a lot of creatives maybe take for granted. You have a profile on Contact, and that is kind of the most used representation of you as a creative, right? And so it's super important that you are updating that, you are keeping that fresh, you're keeping that current. And so, you know, please, by all means, feel free to reach out to me, to anyone on the team, to, you know, request to update your profile with any kind of new images. You want to change your bio, if any of your details have changed. I mean, even something as, you know, simple as an Instagram handle. I can't tell you how many creatives I've had to chase in the past kind of 2 weeks or so, because they've changed their handle on Instagram and they haven't informed us. So then prospective bookers go onto our platform, they're like, oh, that's really cool, I want to check this person out on socials. They go to click, and then it says there's an error with the link, right? So that's not good, and it can actually put off a lot of bookers, right? So it's really important that your profile is up to date. It's also important that you make sure that your bio is a true representation of who you are as an artist, as a creative, and it's just really important that you're able to put your best foot forward, and making sure your profile is updated is the best way to do that. So whatever it is that you want to update, whatever it is that you want to change about your profile, please feel free to reach out to me anytime, and then we'll help you sort that out. Secondly, we encourage you guys to get involved with networking opportunities. You know, here at Contact, we're looking to build out kind of more of these workshops and more of these events with kind of bookers and things like that. Please do get involved. Do kind of put yourself out there. You know, there's a common saying that, you know, your network is your net worth, right? So it's really important to ensure that, you know, you're positioning yourself properly, you're positioning yourself strategically, to be able to get to know others, because you don't know where those opportunities are going to kind of come from. So it's really important that you are getting involved with our community here at Contact, because we have got some awesome creatives here, and we've got, you know, there's so many different events that we have lined up as well. So please do get involved. Do not be silent. You know, put yourself out there and get to know other people, so that, you know, you can really kind of set yourself up for success here at Contact. And finally, the third thing that you need to do, or could be doing, is really kind of looking at your social media. I cannot stress this enough about how important it is. You know, social media is you know, it's so important these days, especially as a creative. I mean, people are always looking at your digital footprint. You know, does this person exist on social media? You know, what kind of content are they posting? Because people use that as kind of the guidelines or the baseline as to you know, who you are as a person, right? So it's really important that your social media is at the level that you really need it to be. And the ways in which you can do that is by making sure that you're posting regularly, and making sure that you're, you know, any kind of work that you do, you know, you're tagging people in it, you're making sure you're captioning it correctly, so people know what you do, what you're about. And the kind of biggest thing for me when it comes to social media is, you know, a lot of models will come to me and say, oh, people keep on approaching me for free work, and how do I let them know that, you know, I'm a paid professional? And I was like, well, you need to tell them. It's as simple as that. And the way you can tell them is by making sure that's clear in your bio on social media. I mean, put your contact, you know, your contact profile link into your profile as well. That's a really, really good way to let people know that, you know, no, I'm a paid professional. You know, I do this modeling thing quite seriously. And also in your kind of captions for your posts and things like that, just making it clear that people can book you. So we call them kind of call to actions, right? So we call them CTAs, call to actions. And essentially it's just making it crystal clear that, you know, this is what you want this person to do. So when you post a picture, literally write in there, book me via the link in my bio, literally write it there so people know how they can reach you, how they can contact you. And so you'll be able to hopefully generate more kind of traffic back to your contact profile. So it's really, really important that your social media is up to scratch, because that is what people are looking at. So just invest a little bit more time into that and making sure that you get yourself into a system, into a habit of posting regularly, about sharing the work that you're doing, because it is really, really great work, but you just need to shout about it a bit more. So definitely do that. So those are definitely my tips in terms of things you could be doing while you're waiting. So that is kind of everything that I wanted to speak to you guys about during this workshop. Obviously, I know I said that maybe incredibly fast, but if there are any questions, please do feel free to you know, unmute and ask away, or you can drop it in the chat box if you prefer. But yeah, the floor is open for any questions whatsoever. Do you have any questions?
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Lucy.
I just wanted to ask, because I have a few friends who feel differently about this on Instagram. So some of my model friends have a very like polished profile, and some people have more personal profile. Do you think there's any like better way to do it? Do you think it should be very polished as a model, or is it okay to have kind of like your personal profile in the same? I don't know if that makes sense, but
it does. And it's a really good question. It's, you know, do I separate my personal brand from my professional brand, right?
yeah.
And that's a really, really important question. I think ultimately it depends on kind of your personal kind of aims, in terms of kind of your career or your trajectory kind of going forwards. It depends on what you see your future as. So for some people, I definitely understand the need for separating the professional from the personal, because, you know, they want to have that space where they can, you know, be themselves. They can, you know, post stuff that isn't quite as polished, you know, but just the content they enjoy. And that's absolutely fine. But there's no like, it's not a clear black or white. It really just depends on you and how you feel comfortable. Some people are happy to mix the professional and personal, but, you know, others would prefer just to keep it separate, just for, obviously, if they're sending it out to agencies and things like that, they just want to have that, you know, professional profile up. So it really just depends on you, but I definitely wouldn't say there's a right or wrong way to go about it.
All right, cool, thank you.
Absolutely. Are there any more questions at all?
Anyone got any other questions for BB?
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yes, go for it.
Hi, so I think for me it would be, what do you guys, I know obviously casting directors ask for a lot of different things, but what is really important to have in the profile on contact? And is there anything that you recommend putting into bios specifically, that, because it's left kind of quite open? So yeah, is there anything on the profile specifically on contact that you would say is quite important to maybe, you know, you guys putting forward certain models to casting directors and having a better chance of getting that job?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm sure Julia will jump in on this as well. But I think from my perspective, I think it's making better use of your bio. So your bio is a great place to share kind of your interests, what you're into, the other activities that you maybe, participate in, but also kind of being kind of more direct about the sort of work that you want to be doing. So is it editorial? Is it, social campaigns and things like that? Making it kind of clear so people and, bookers have a better kind of understanding about who you are and kind of what you want for your career, if that makes sense. So that's what I would say. But go ahead, Julia. Oh, you're muted, Julia. Sorry.
Hi. Yeah. I think you kind of said exactly what I would say, just like making full use of all the fields that the contact profile can show. And the other thing, the really, really, really important thing is to have, like, from an agency's point of view, if it's like a partner agent, for example, is to make sure that their creative has always up-to-date Polaroids, nicely done, clean, clear Polaroids. That doesn't even mean you have to go hire a studio and use a camera. That just means find a nice spot with natural daylight, white wall, and just do them clearly, clean, and keep them current. And then the other thing that I notice often with partner agents is like the header image, so the profile image. Different agents have different styles, which is like, it's cool to see. But in terms of the clients that are coming to contact, what we see is they want like snappy, closer up, like kind of more, maybe slightly edgier headshots. Like they probably don't want to see any airbrushing. They don't want to see any full body. That's not eye catching. So yeah, I would say just like, if you've got, how I always think of it is like, if it's a new creative, like if we're talking about models here, if it's a new model, then just a really nice, clean, crisp Polaroids, which, as I said, you can literally do on a phone in like a garden or whatever. And just make sure that the header image is close up. If they've done a certain amount of jobs, just find a really gorgeous, strong close-up image of them on one of those jobs. I would say stay away from airbrushing, stay away from like underwear shots for a header image. Yeah, and stay away from anything that's just like a bit cliched or like that you feel like you've seen before. Just like newer, edgier imagery is always really good at attracting clients' attentions. And yeah, just making full use of those fields. So like making sure their Instagram's in there, like making sure that their address is correct, making sure, as BB said, that the bio is really strong. That would be my advice there. Yeah.
Cool. That's brilliant. Thank you for that.
Awesome. Any more questions on the floor? No.
I think I've got one, which would be around, like, I think there's something that comes up for people a lot, which is like how to manage your own expectations when you do get a really exciting job offer, or sorry, shortlist offer, I should say. And it's just like, it seems so easy for people on the internal team like BB or me or whoever to say, oh, well, this is the way it goes, and it's very competitive, and that's just what it is. It's a very different thing if you're getting this shortlist in and then you're thinking about, what if I do this job? Oh my God, I could do this, it could mean that, it could mean that. And like, I think just a thing to always remember, and a thing that I always say to people, like people who are doing really well and booking loads of work, I still say, like, if you're getting 1 in 10 of your shortlists, you're doing really well. So I think it's about just really managing your expectations. So if a shortlist comes through, just in your own head, not allowing yourself to run away with it, and just thinking, this will only be a reality for me if I literally see a call sheet come through, and everything like that. That would be my only like little tip. But yeah.
Perfect. Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah. Could you hear me?
Yes, Nicole. Hi.
Hi, sorry, I'm at a train station about to get on a train. Yeah, I just wanted to know, you said, how do you know what you're suitable for? You said you put on your bio if you're suitable for editorial, etc.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. No, when I mentioned that, I was more speaking from the perspective of the kind of work that you would like to do, based on your personal preference. So yeah, so it just depends on kind of your particular taste, what you kind of want to kind of achieve, because obviously Hero Contact's all about kind of taking control of your career, right? So it's really important that you have an opinion about these things in terms of kind of the style or the type of work that you want to be doing. So it's just a nice thing to kind of mention in your bio. Obviously, it's not to say that, you know, anything that's outside of that you won't be interested in kind of doing. It just means that this is just my preference, just so the booker knows and is aware, if that makes sense.
Okay. Oh, can I ask another question? Sorry, because I joined late, I couldn't get on. Yeah, how do jobs come into you and then you decide on a short? How does it work from your point of view?
Okay, great. So
Have you covered that already?
I will jump in here. We have covered that,
Sorry,
Nicole.
I'm so sorry.
No, don't worry at all. So, but very quickly, I'll very quickly run through it to save BB doing it. No, so fine. So we'll send this recording, by the way, afterwards, so you can watch it back. So everyone will receive it. But just very quickly, a casting director will work with a brand. So a brand will tell a casting director, we're looking for X, Y, Z. You know, maybe we're looking for two boys who are, BB's example was two boys with red hair who are over, you know, 180 centimeters or whatever. There's all different kinds of briefs that come through, obviously. And then that casting director will reach out to multiple different agencies or platforms. So it could be 10 different London-based agencies, you know, Contact being one of those places. And then all those people will put forward whoever they have who's appropriate. Contact might have like 10 to 20 people who are appropriate for that brief, for example. Maybe other agencies have about the same thing. So then that casting director will end up potentially with like 100 to 200, or the bigger the brand, the larger it can be. If it's a very small new brand, they might literally just be looking at Contact, for example, or one particular agency that they want to work with. But the bigger the brand, the more agencies they'll reach out to, because the more, basically, the higher paid the casting director will be, and the more important their job will be to that brand. So the more people they're going to present to the brand, if that makes sense. So then the bigger the brand, obviously the smaller the chance, because then that casting director is presenting however many people to the brand, and then the brand is going through all these processes of sort of narrowing it down, and then there might be a fitting or a secondary casting or what have you. So that's how they end up with the final person. So yeah, I think BB explained it actually probably shorter than me, but yeah, just to recap.
No, I get it. I get it now. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I think also I just wanted to add, Nicole, to your question about bio, because I know that you're new on Contact. So I also understand if people haven't done anything in like the industry before, then of course you might not necessarily know just yet like what you're really interested in or what exactly you want to do, which is also totally fine. And I think BB's more saying like, if you're I don't know, let's say there's a 19-year-old boy that's joined Contact and he's like really into skate brands and skating, like he could just put that in his bio, and that can really encourage those kind of brands. You know, I love streetwear or anything, like I'm so into skating or what have you. And then those kind of brands will see like, oh, this is the kind of guy we're looking for, because some brands are booking on just look alone. And then other brands are also booking on sort of the person, really, I guess. Yeah.
absolutely.
Anyway, I'll pass things back to BB now. Sorry.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that, Julia. Very insightful. Are there any other questions at all from anybody? Okay. Sorry, Julia. I think there's one in the chat box, but I can't see it.
Yeah, let me bring it up for you. Okay, so Bruno asks, this is kind of particular, but I've been recently diagnosed with vitiligo. I got new spots appearing on my face and on other parts of my body, but it's something you cannot see on the photos I have on my profile. Do you consider that relevant to put in my bio? Thank you. Sorry for asking via chat, but I can't use the mic right now. I'll let you take this one, BB.
Yeah, I mean, my response to that would be definitely do try to get us new images across. It's always, you know, important for bookers to kind of see all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I mean, just send us updated kind of pictures, Polaroids, whatever the case may be. And even if it's a case of, you know, you want to book in some time to come into our studio and take some fresh Polaroids, that's definitely something that we can help you with. But yeah, definitely do just get us across some new images, and we'll be able to update your profile for you, no problem.
Definitely. And if it's something, I know a lot of people have a lot of different things that they want to flag in their bio. If it's something, you know, that's personal to you that you also want to flag in there, just, yeah, you can just add that to anything you send to like BB or me or anyone, and we can just add that in for you really easily. Yeah,
absolutely. Perfect. Is there any more for any more? Okay.
I'll read this one. Someone says, with regards to posting, if we aren't posting tons of pictures from jobs, does that mean we will book less? Also, I found myself walking in more shows during show seasons before I moved over to Contact, and I feel maybe I'm personally letting myself down with my profile on Contact or my Instagram. Should I start showing more of who I am? I can take this one if you want, baby.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I think this person is talking about with regards to posting, if we aren't posting tons of pictures from jobs, do you mean on Instagram or Contact or maybe both? Either way, the blanket answer would be, of course, the more work that you post, as with any kind of creative job, the idea would be that you would create more work for yourself. It's just the same for a photographer, a stylist, hair and makeup artist, anyone in a creative industry. Showcase what you're doing, like be proud of it. Like that was hard work for you to go to that job or that show or that shoot or whatever, that you took time out of your day. Yeah, shout about it as much as you can. And you're saying you found yourself walking in more shows before you moved to Contact. That's something we would need context of, like, were you with another agency? Were you unsigned? What have you? Maybe with show seasons, you could say it's to do with my social media. You could also say it's to do with luck. It can be like a number of factors. But if you are feeling like, I did more of this previously, so why isn't that happening for me right now? I mean, that is just the nature of modeling, right? You can have, we have people who join Contact, and then for like 5 months it's just like crickets, and then they absolutely take off, and then become like top sort of booking. If you have any concerns like that, that's a really, I would say that's much more individual, so it would need more context. But that's so the kind of thing where you can just like email BB and like book in some time, or try and get some advice to discuss that, either, you know, over email or on a call or whatever suits you. So whoever that is, I'm sorry I can't see your name, but please do just like get in contact with us if you're having those kind of more individual concerns. And yes, regarding pictures from jobs, post. Jordan asks, you're welcome. Jordan asks, can pictures from past jobs be used on our Contact profile? Of course. There should be no, you're in those images, you did that work. There should be no issue with you sharing your work on any portfolio online. And Duncan, I'll let you take this one, BB, because I'm hogging the questions now. Duncan says, hey, so I've recently been interested in taking on some acting jobs, so commercials, films, etc. Is this something that you guys do at Contact, or is it mainly photography and fashion?
That is a great question that I probably will need your support with, Julia. But I think we do kind of attract a variety. It just kind of depends as and when and what is available. But I definitely wouldn't say we're just mainly photography or fashion. I think we do have quite a nice mix here at Contact, and that's something I really love about the platform. But yeah, Julia, please.
Yeah, I would echo that. It's, you know, obviously the majority of stuff is sort of fashion based, but it's so overlapping. Like you have music videos and commercials. Yeah, we do a lot of adverts, but we don't do like feature films and things like that. People would not come to us to cast something where they're looking for kind of like, I don't know, like a TV show or a film or something like that. That would be very rare. So the extent for us would be like big TV ad campaigns or music videos, whatever. So if you are looking into that, that's something you'd have to explore independently. You know, there's a lot out there. The big one is Spotlight. I know that we have a lot of models who on Contact who are also on Spotlight for acting stuff. So Duncan, that's just like a quick, I guess, particular recommendation. But in general, go and have a look at what's out there. and it's totally fine basically for you to be on contact for this kind of stuff and somewhere else for other kind of stuff. But yeah, it would be wrong for me to say that we can help you kick off a big acting career, because that's not what we specialize in. Yeah.
Awesome. Are there any more questions at all?
Okay.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for this workshop. We really, really appreciate it. And we really, really hope that it has been useful for you guys. Obviously, anytime at all, if any other questions kind of pop up for you, or, you know, you do want to update your portfolio with anything at all, definitely feel free to reach me directly at bb@contact.xyz. I'm more than happy to help. And if I can't help you, I'll definitely put you in touch with someone who can. So thank you guys so much, and I hope to hear from you guys pretty soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, BB. Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
guys.
Julia.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.